You think the problem is that they're not hearing you, but close the door for a second because it's just us. And I'm going to tell you the thing that's actually happening. They're not hearing you because they've already read you. And what they read was a person quietly asking whether it's okay to even be in the room. You see, it's not your ideas. It never was. It's the sound underneath the ideas. And that sound is need. The need for them to approve of you. And that need leaks out before you finish your first sentence. If you've spent your whole life being the most prepared, but the least believed, stay with me. Subscribe. Because you can't fix this one from the outside with better words. This is the part that lives in you, and that's exactly what I make these for.
Welcome to Own the Room, for people operating where the stakes are real.
Pitches, negotiations, leadership conversations that don't come with a second chance.
Here, you'll learn to control perception, read the room, and thrive in high-stakes communication. Now here's Jake Stahl, who's going to help you turn communication
into your unfair advantage.
Let me take you into it. You walk into the meeting, and before a single word, there's a small voice in your head saying, "Do they think I should be here?" And you don't notice it, but your body does. So you soften. You open with, "I just wanted to," and then you end your certainty like a question, tilting your voice up at the end, checking their face to see if it landed. And then you say, "Does that make sense?" Not because it's unclear, but because you need a nod from them. And you over-explain because one reason feels too naked. And then you apologize for the time, for the interruption, for taking up space. And every one of those is you, in real time, asking the room a question you'd never say out loud. Am I allowed to be here? But here's what it costs you. They answer that question, but not the question you asked about the strategy, the real one. And because you asked whether you belong, they're going to tell you. Apparently not, or you wouldn't be asking. So you didn't lose on the merits, you lost on the request for permission that you never meant to make. So let me take you under it, because it's just you and me, and I know you can handle the reason. These tells aren't a communication skills gap. You know how to talk. They're actually a fear, and the fear is specific. You need these people to approve of you. And you've heard me say it a dozen times. Need leaks. You just can't hold it in. And it doesn't come out in the words. It comes out in the music, the rising pitch, the softening voice, the sorry that you add into your sentences. Your mouth says the strategy, but your nervous system broadcasts, "Oh, please like me." And they hear the broadcast, but not the strategy. And here's the part that should land, because it's the whole thing turned inside out. The approval you're reaching for, you can only get it by stopping reaching for it. The room gives status to the person who doesn't need the approval. Because the second you need their nod, you've told them you're beneath it. The second you don't need their nod, you've told them you're above it. Same person, same facts, and the only variable was that it moved from whether you needed something from them or you didn't. And you know what? Here's one more. And I'm only saying this because I know you can take it. You think the need is humility, but listen, it's not. Real humility is quiet, and it doesn't require an audience. What you've got is the hunger for validation that's just wearing humility's face. And hunger, boy, that's the least attractive thing in any room. You know, they don't need you sorry. They don't need you hungry for their approval. They need you solid. Because you know what? Solid is what they follow. So here's what I'd have you watch in yourself. The next time you walk into a room that matters, I want you to remember 5 things, and I'm going to show you what each one looks like. First, catch the tilt in your own voice. In other words, you probably say it like this. This cuts the timeline by a third, and you can feel your pitch lift at the end, and then your eyes flick to their face for a reaction. But I want you to freeze there. That lift is the question. So I want you to land it instead. Take your voice down at the end and let it stop. Because you know what? You're not asking if it's true. You're telling them that it is. So that upward tilt is going to sound like this. This cuts the timeline by a third. Period. Second, hear yourself ask permission and take the floor instead. And what that means is you catch things like, I just wanted to, or if that's okay, starting to form. You catch them. And that's the tell that you think the floor is theirs to grant. But it isn't. I want you to swap that silently to a decision and just say to them, here's the plan. Listen, you don't need the door opened. You're already through it. And that leads to the third thing. Notice when you're explaining past the point. So you've given your reason and you feel yourself reaching for a second and then a third because one felt too exposed, too naked. So instead, summon your will and stop at just 1. Because the pylon isn't thoroughness. It's literally you bracing to be challenged. So give 1 strong reason, and then, I know this is the hardest thing, shut up. Just close your mouth. Let it land. Which leads to the fourth. I want you to feel that silence and don't rescue it. So you make your point, there's a pause, and everything in you wants to fill it. You want to stop the pain of the silence, so you want to add or soften or check in. But that urge to rescue the silence is just the fear moving. Instead, I want you to sit in it. Let them break the silence. Let them speak first. Because here's a fact. The person who can hold the quiet is the one the room decides is in charge. And you already know this from previous episodes. Silence charges interest. And fifth, the one I most want you to use is stop apologizing for taking up space. I hear this so often. People chime in with, sorry to bother you, or sorry, one more thing, or probably the worst one, sorry to take so much time. Every one of those is you apologizing for existing in the room. So I want you to catch it and flip it. Sorry to bother you is going to become, I've got something for you. So you're not an imposition they're tolerating. You're the reason that the meeting's worth having. But you have to talk like it. So here's the whole thing, just between you and me. You're not being ignored. You're being read. And what they've been reading is your need. The need for the nod, the need for the reassurance, the need to be told it's okay that you're here. Every tell is basically that need, and it's leaking through the music of how you talk. But what's going to happen then is the room is going to answer the need instead of the idea. So don't fix this with a better deck or a stronger word. Fix it by walking in already holding the thing you keep going there to get. Decide before the door that you belong in the room, and then you won't leak the question of whether you do. Land your sentences, hold your silence, stop saying sorry for the seat that's yours. Because you were never not being heard, you were being read. And the thing they read was you asking permission. So stop asking. Walk in solid, say the true thing, and let it land without checking their face. And remember, it was just the two of us when you finally admitted the whole time you were waiting for the room to believe in you. It was actually waiting for you to believe in you.
Thanks for checking out Own the Room with Jake Stahl. If you've gotten value from this episode, share it with the solopreneur in your life who wants to know how to communicate to be seen, heard, and respected. Review and rate the show wherever you check out podcasts. And grab your copy of Own the Room, How to Communicate to be Seen, Heard, and Respected. We'll catch you next week on Own the Room.